Hey guys, this is another video, or I'm sorry, not video, but this is another podcast episode. Tulsa Bed Bug Specialist. And today we're going to talk about some of the calls we get in our office right after we do a treatment. So, what happens if you feel like the treatment has failed or is taking too long? These are kind of questions we get on a regular basis, and so this is a little more in depth. I wrote an article about it as well, but maybe this can better relay my thoughts and put some of your concerns to rest. Um, so yeah, if you're in the Tulsa area, give us a call. Sorry about that. Ooh, sorry about that again. Anyway, so yeah, we get not a lot of calls, but we do get calls on a regular basis. Like, why is this treatment not working? Or so the biggest thing is that we always offer guarantees with our work. But what happens is if you have a medium to high infestation level, which will kind of let you know that when we see it, when we get out there and do an inspection or before we even start a treatment. I'm sorry. There could be possibilities on that the product just takes a little bit to start working. So we use more than one product when we're doing a treatment, and some work slower, some work faster, but they usually always work. So the thing about it is, could be time. You just need a little time for it to work. It sucks because I'm sorry, I don't know why I keep drink some. Sorry about that, but drink some water. Hopefully that'll help. So it could just take some time. Um, the thing about bed bugs is, you didn't get them overnight. It took several nights, several weeks, probably several months. So it will take a little time, just a couple weeks for it to work, usually. Now, we don't sell it like we can get it rid of it really fast, all in one treatment, all in one day. But there are some companies that will. And I I don't know if there's a fine print, but I don't know any exterminator personally that can just knock them out. I mean, and we can knock them out with one treatment, but it does take some time, and that's because it really depends on how many eggs. Because what happens usually is that first treatment kind of gets all the gets all the alive bed bugs, but there's always a few scragglers, and then what happens is, if we don't get a lot of the eggs, they start hatching, and then that product takes a little time for them to get on them and then die. And so they might be able to feed a day or two before they actually die. And so that's one reason, possibility why it could be happening. Another thing we get calls for is that it the customer will call us and will say, like, well, I'm seeing more of them. And I'm like, yeah, you're not really seeing more of them. You're just aware of them. Um, because when we get there, we can see how many that we're eliminating. So it's more of a noticing your. I think customers sometimes that have an expectation that after that first treatment, right after, they're not supposed to see none and they're not supposed to get bit anymore. Well, the reality is that's not true. So I think sometimes, so it is, when you see a bite or see one bite, two bites, you're like, man, it's getting worse. Well, you're just noticing them more, and you kind of had an expectation that they would be gone. And so I think that's a factor into people thinking they're more, or thinking it didn't work at all. And the goal is Hey, that first night you might get bit 5 times. The next night, the next after a couple more nights, maybe that goes to three. After a couple more nights, it goes to one, and that's usually how it kind of works. Um, we have seen it. We do get customers all the time where it took one treatment in one day and they're gone. But I wouldn't bet on that being all the cases. So I wouldn't look for that expectation. So remember that bed bugs hide most of their life. So when we do a treatment, we are trying to get rid of. We know the places to look and to remove as many as we can find, and kill as many as we can find. But they're excellent hiders. So what happens is there might. That's why we leave a residual product behind on the furniture, because what happens is we create a barrier of a product. They cross that barrier, get the product on them, and then die. Well, because they're such good hiders, they could be hiding in other places further away from the room. So then they have to kind of get over to their victim to feed. So they might have not got killed on that first extermination, but they will with their product remaining there. Um, so, um, and the big thing is just eggs hatching. Is over time, about every, I mean, I think it's 6 to 10 days, bed bug eggs hatch. And so what happens is if you have a lot, or you've been dealing with bed bugs for a few months, they've definitely by now have have laid plenty of eggs. And so what happens is you kind of have to wait for the product to do its job as they're hatching. And some of the product will get on the egg and will kill them, but the reality is they sometimes, I'm sorry, the reality is that they, when they place their eggs, they can place them on top of each other or even in a cluster. So if there's a couple on top that got the product on them, they might die instantly or they won't hatch. But that might have shielded the ones on the bottom from getting the product. So they might be able to hatch. And like I said, it might take a little bit for that product to get on them and die. So, man, I shouldn't have recorded that. I wasn't coughing like this earlier, so sorry. Maybe once I started talking, maybe I started coughing or something. I don't know. But anyway, so we talked about the time delay, and that's usually the biggest thing. Is that sometimes it just takes a little time. We say within 21 to 30 days, you should have a complete extermination, and that's usually even in bad situations with multiple treatments. I would probably say 6 weeks at the worst, but definitely no more than 30 days on average. So yeah. So and sometimes we have to use lures and traps. So for instance, if a customer has bed bugs and they haven't been in that room a lot or sporadically, sometimes we have to use traps to kind of coerce the bed bugs out of their hiding spots, because if they can't sense or smell a food source in the room and the next room is too far, they might not travel. They might just hunker down until a victim kind of comes in their vicinity. So that might take a little time for a treatment to work too. So that's why we do always encourage our customers that after we do a treatment, you use the furniture as normal, because what happens is we'll see people that will be so freaked out they don't want to stay in that room, or they want to buy new furniture or go stay somewhere else. Well, the problem with that is that if there's no bait to kind of for them to move around, they might not move around. Now it'll be a few that will, probably because they may have just fed and is looking for a mate. But other than that, they're not like roaches where they just kind of look for food, scavenge for food all the time. So it's less ways for them to get the product on them. So yeah, my voice is really not doing well. I'm still gonna put this out, but I might record a little bit later when my voice is better and I'm not coughing as much. So sorry for the coughing, but I want to put this out. I'm probably gonna re-record this, but until I do, I'm gonna keep it out into interwebs. So give us a call. You can even text us, Tulsa Bed Bug Specialist, 918-892-5254, or you can visit our website, Tulsa Bed Bug Exterminator.com. Thanks for listening.